Hey guys, today we're going to step into the sandals of a Mayan farmer in the year 900 AD at the height of Maya civilization in the Yucatan lowlands, when vast temple cities rose above the jungles and life was ruled by the cycles of the sun, rain, and sacred calendar.
We'll walk with you through the start of your day, deep into the fields, and see how every breath, every grain of maize, and every drop of sweat tied your life to the great web of the Maya world.
But before we begin, comment where you're watching from and what time it is there. It's always amazing to see how far our history travels. You wake before the sky turns from black to grey. There is no clock on the wall, there is only the rooster's crow, the cicada's relentless rasp, and the slow shift of the air from cool to thick. The night's fire still breathes faintly in the hearth, glowing embers under a shell of ash. You smell the faint bitterness of yesterday's smoke still trapped in the roof thatch.
The hut is one room, its walls woven from wattle and daub, its floor packed earth cool under your bare soles.
The first thing you feel is that damp coolness, a gift of the night that will soon burn away. Your wife is already awake, kneeling in front of the grinding stone, the meat-ate. Her shoulders move rhythmically as she pushes the heavy mano back and forth over the maize kernels you harvested 2 moons ago. The sound is a steady whisper of stone on stone, shark, shark, shark. The maize breaks, then crumbles, then softens into pale dough. She will press it into flat discs and cook them on the clay comel over the fire.
She offers you a cup of atoll warm maize drink flavored faintly with honey.
You drink slowly, savoring its thickness. It fills the stomach just enough for the morning's work ahead. Outside, the air is still blue with POA dawn.
Mist coils around the base of the cyber tree at the center of the village.
Chickens cluck and scratch at the dirt, their claws flicking dust into the air.
You hear the cough of your neighbor as he steps outside, pulling his tunic straight, his hair still messy from sleep. Somewhere, a baby begins to cry, and a mother hushes it with a low, tuneless hum.
You take your farming tools, a wooden digging stick hardened in fire, a flint-edged hoe, and a carrying net woven from henequen fibers. You sling the net over your back, its weight empty for now, but it will return heavy.
The path to the fields cuts through scrub and low jungle.
The air smells of wet leaves and the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers that haven't yet closed.
Spiderwebs glisten in the dim light, strung between branches.
You brush them aside gently. The milpa is the heart of your existence, a patch of forest cleared, burned, and planted in the old way. Maize is king, but never stands alone.
Between the rows of tall, tasseled stalks, bean vines climb upward, their green tendrils curling around the maize for support. Below, broad squash leaves spread wide, their shade holding the soil's moisture.
This trio, maize, beans, and squash, is life itself.
The maize feeds you, the beans give strength, the squash keeps the soil fertile.
The gods gave them together, and together they must grow. The sun finally breaks the horizon.
It comes not as a slow lightning, but a burst one moment in grey. The next moment the jungle shimmers gold.
Heat follows quickly, wrapping you like a wet blanket. The morning's tasks are endless but familiar.
You walk between the rows, checking for pests, fat green caterpillars that chew the maize leaves, beetles that bore into the stalks. When you find them, you pinch them dead between your fingers and toss them into the undergrowth.
Your neighbor calls to you from his plot, holding up a strange feather, long, crimson, tipped with iridescent green. He says traders brought it from lands far to the south, where the sun burns hotter and the birds scream like spirits. You laugh and tell him maybe the feather will keep the maize spirits happy. You work barefoot, your toes curling into the warm soil. Every step presses the earth down, firming the roots. You bend and straighten, until your back aches and sweat runs down your spine. The smell of the earth rises with every movement, loamy, damp, alive.
By mid-morning, you stop to drink water from a gourd.
The cicadas are loud now, their voices like a constant electric hum. You squint at the sky, no clouds. It is the dry season, and though the maize still stands tall, you know it depends on the next rains. The priests in the city will be watching the skies too, making offerings so the rain god Chark will not forget you.
You retreat to the shade of the great cyber tree that stands at the edge of the field.
Its roots rise from the ground like walls, each one big enough to hide behind. The old people say its roots stretch into Shibalba, the underworld, while its highest branches touch the sky.
The tree is the axis of the world, connecting realms, yin and unseen.
Your wife has brought you tamales wrapped in maize husks, filled with beans and seasoned with chili. You eat slowly, resting your back against the cyber's smooth trunk. The tamales are soft, warm, and a little smoky from the fire.
She pours you a small cup of cacao drink, bitter, rich, flavored with crushed chili and honey.
This is a treat, saved for special days or when a little extra energy is needed.
You watch the fields while you eat. Dragonflies dart above the rows.
A hawk circles lazily overhead. The maize leaves rustle in a breeze that carries the scent of far-off rain. The afternoon is for repairing the albaradas, the low stone walls that mark the boundaries between plots and keep animals from wandering into the crops.
You lift and stack the stones carefully, feeling their roughness bite into your palms. The sun presses down harder now, and sweat droops into your eyes, stinging them.
Sometimes you hum while you work, repeating the chants you learned as a boy during planting season, little songs that call for growth and good weather. You're not sure if the gods hear, but the rhythm keeps your hands moving.
In another part of the field, your eldest son works alongside you.
He is not yet grown, but he has the strong legs and sure hands of someone who will soon take his place as caretaker of the milpa.
You show him how to check the maize ears, pressing gently to feel the kernels inside without tearing the husk.
He nods, watching your hands closely.
By late afternoon, the light turns gold again, softer now. The heat eases a little, though your shirt still clings to you with sweat. You gather what you've harvested: beans, herbs, a few ripe squashes, and place them in your net.
The walk back to the village is slower, the weight heavy but satisfying.
When you reach home, smoke from cooking fires drifts between the huts. The scent of roasting maize and chilies fills the air. Children chase each other in the dust, their laughter sharp and high.
Dogs bark lazily from the shade.
You set down the net in your hut and wash the dust from your hands with cool water poured from a clay jar. The day's work is done at least until tomorrow.
As the sun slips behind the trees, you sit outside your hut, letting the evening breeze cool your skin. Across the clearing, an elder begins to beat a drum slow, steady, calling people to the communal fire. Soon, stories will be told, and the day's labor will fade into the warmth of the night.
You rise before the sun again the next day, but this morning is different.
Today is a market day, and you will walk the long road to the city to trade your surplus maize and beans for goods you cannot grow or make yourself.
You eat quickly a tortilla folded over mashed beans, a swallow of warm atol, and tie your carrying net across your back.
Inside it are gourds of dried maize kernels, bundles of fresh herbs, and a few squashes wrapped in palm leaves to keep them from bruising. The path to the city is older than your grandfather's stories. It is hard-packed earth where countless feet have passed, winding through groves of ceiba and copal trees.
The morning air is still cool, though heavy with the dampness of the jungle.
The scent of crushed leaves and wet soil follows each step.
Birdsong comes in bursts, the sharp call of parrots, the distant screech of a toucan. You know these sounds as well as your own heartbeat.
You are not alone.
Other villagers walk with you, some carrying clay jars filled with honey or salt, others leading turkeys tied by the legs. A woman walks ahead balancing a woven basket of cotton thread on her head without touching it with her hands.
People greet each other with quiet nods, saving their voices for the busy noise of the market. After several hours, the path widens and the trees thin. The sound of the jungle gives way to human noise, voices calling, drums beating, the metallic clink of obsidian blades being tested on wood.
You step out from the shade into the brightness of the city's edge, where stone streets run straight toward the great plaza. The city rises around you, larger than you remember. Walls of fitted limestone gleam white in the sun. Multi-story temples cast long shadows across the streets, their steps climbing high toward the sky.
Near the center of the plaza, you see the market has already come alive, a sea of people moving between rows of goods laid out on mats. The smell is overwhelming. Roasting meat, fresh herbs, the sweet bitterness of cacao drink, the tang of drying fish.
You make your way to a space where farmers from surrounding villages gather. You lay out your maize, the golden kernels bright against the woven mat. A man stops, kneels, runs his hand through the kernels, testing their weight and dryness.
He offers a small bag of salt in return, and after a brief exchange, you agree. The salt is worth more than its size, essential for preserving meat and fish, and impossible to make in your village far from the sea. You trade again beans for a bundle of obsidian flakes, which can be shaped into blades and tools.
Squash for a small clay whistle carved in the shape of a bird, something your youngest will treasure.
A woman selling cacao beans pauses to greet you.
Her family is from a village you passed through last year. She offers you a cup of cacao drink, thick and bitter, spiced with ground chili. You savor it slowly, feeling its warmth in your chest.
In the distance, you hear the deep, hollow thump of a rubber ball striking stone.
You turn toward the ball court. Its walls rise higher than a man's head, carved with scenes of past games, players in padded gear, the ball flying high, offerings being made to the gods.
Today's match draws a crowd.
Two teams face off, their movements quick and precise, the heavy ball never touching the ground except in brief, dangerous bounces.
You know the game is more than sport, it is a ritual, a way to honor the gods, and perhaps to decide matters of great importance between rival cities. Not far from the court, priests move in procession toward one of the temples. They carry bundles wrapped in jaguar skins. Their faces painted with red and black designs. Copal incense burns in clay vessels, sending thick, sweet smoke into the air. The crowd parts to let them pass.
You watch them climb the steep steps toward the temple summit, where the king and his advisors stand.
The king wears a headdress of green quetzal feathers that catch the sun like emerald fire.
Around his neck hangs a necklace of carved jade beads, each one larger than the last.
His presence is distant yet heavy, the weight of a man who carries the god's favor for the entire city. You bow your head slightly, as much in respect as in habit. As the day wears on, the market swells and then slowly begins to fade. Traders pack their goods, voices grow softer, and shadows lengthen across the plaza. You gather your trade thought obsidian, a clay whistle, and a few small bundles of cotton thread, and sling the net across your back. The weight is different now, heavier in some ways, lighter in others. The road home is quieter. The jungle begins to reclaim its sounds, cicadas starting their chorus, frogs croaking near streams, the distant rustle of something moving through the underbrush.
You walk with others from your village, speaking in low tones about the prices at the market, the quality of the salt, the color of the feathers you saw on a trader's stall.
By the time the village comes into view, the sky is streaked with orange and purple. You step back into the clearing where smoke from cooking fires drifts lazily upward.
Children run to meet you, curious about what you've brought.
You show them the whistle, and your youngest immediately presses it to his lips, producing a shrill, joyous note. You sit outside your hut, setting the salt and obsidian carefully aside.
These will be used slowly, stretched over many months. You feel the ache in your legs from the long walk, but it is a familiar ache, one that ties you to the rhythm of life here, the fields, the road, the city, and back again.
Night falls, and the village settles into its quiet. Somewhere in the darkness, drums beat faintly in the distance, perhaps from the city, perhaps from another village celebrating its own small victory. You lie down on the mat inside your hut, the air still warm but slowly cooling. The sounds of the day fade into the slow hum of the night.
When the great cities began to rise, they were unlike anything the people of the surrounding regions had ever seen.
At the heart of these centers stood massive stepped pyramids, their stone surfaces catching the morning light like sacred beacons. Wide plazas bustled with activity, merchants spreading colorful woven cloth, potters shaping clay vessels, and farmers arriving with baskets of maize, beans, and squash. The air carried the scent of roasting cacao and burning copal incense, drifting up toward the gods. Life here was more than survival, it was the weaving together of religion, politics, and commerce. High atop the pyramid steps, priests in feathered headdresses performed rituals to ensure rain and a bountiful harvest. Below, the city's ruler would appear in fine cotton robes, walking among the people to display his strength and divine favor.
Every building was aligned with the sun and stars, reflecting a deep understanding of the cosmos.
Even the streets were laid out with precision, as if the entire city had been carved from a sacred blueprint.
These cities became magnets for talent.
Skilled artisans carved intricate jade masks, stone sculptures, and delicate shell jewelry. Traders brought obsidian from distant volcanic regions, bright feathers from the tropics, and seashells from far-off shores. The markets were loud and vibrant, filled with bargaining voices and the rhythm of wooden drums. People from neighboring villages came not just to trade goods, but to exchange stories, ideas, and beliefs. But beneath this splendor was a rigid social order. Farmers and laborers worked tirelessly to sustain the grandeur, while warriors defended the city's wealth and territory.
Tribute flowed in from surrounding lands, sometimes willingly, sometimes by force.
Great feasts were held to celebrate victories, where music, dance, and storytelling filled the night. Yet in the shadows, political rivalries simmered, and the balance between alliance and war was as delicate as the painted pottery in the marketplace. Every aspect of daily life was tied to a larger purpose, honoring the gods and ensuring the survival of the community. The construction of monumental architecture was not merely an act of engineering, but of devotion. Each stone was placed with the belief that the very order of the universe depended on human effort.
And as the sun set behind the pyramids, casting long shadows over the plazas, the people believed they were living in the very heart of the world, a place where heaven touched the earth.
The city's engineers designed a network of canals that carried fresh water into neighborhoods and fields.
Stone aqueducts spanned valleys, bringing mountain spring water from miles away.
Even public baths, used by rich and poor alike, were part of the social fabric. In the marketplaces, traders from distant lands brought goods that would have seemed exotic even to the local citizens: colorful feathers from tropical birds, cacao beans from the south, shimmering shells from the coast, and obsidian blades sharper than any metal.
Every stall was alive with haggling voices, laughter, and the occasional shouted announcement of a fresh shipment.
Religious rituals marked every stage of life, from birth to burial.
Priests in bright feathered cloaks carried out ceremonies atop massive pyramids, their voices rising with the smoke of burning copal incense.
For the people, these ceremonies were more than superstition. They were a living link between the world and the powerful gods who controlled rain, fertility, and the cycles of time.
Families gathered to watch, knowing that each offering, whether a basket of maize or the spilling of blood, was an essential part of keeping the universe in balance.
Artists and craftsmen poured their skill into pottery, weaving, and intricate goldwork. Every piece told a story, whether it was a simple clay vessel painted with scenes of harvest or a necklace meant to honor a great ruler. In homes, children listened to their elders tell the old legends by firelight.
Stories of creation, of heroes who spoke with jaguars, and of spirits who dwelled in the mountains shaped their understanding of the world.
These tales were not just entertainment, they were maps of morality, history, and cosmic order.
At night, the city's avenues glowed with the soft flicker of oil lamps.
The stars above, unpolluted by smoke or industry, were bright enough to seem close enough to touch. Astronomers studied their patterns, charting the movement of Venus or the turning of the constellations. These observations were woven into calendars that guided planting, festivals, and political decisions.
Time itself felt like a sacred rhythm, measured not just in days, but in the alignment of heavens and earth.
In this world, to be a citizen was to be part of something vast, a civilization that blended artistry, spirituality, and engineering into a single, harmonious whole.
Life was demanding, but it was also rich in meaning.
Every sound, every scent, and every sight carried with it the weight of generations.
You could feel it in the stones beneath your feet and in the warm air that carried the distant beat of ceremonial drums.
The harvest festival arrives like a breath of life after months of toil.
As dawn breaks over the city, the air is thick with the scent of copal incense and roasting meats, mingling with the earthy smell of freshly turned soil. Streets buzz with activity. Vendors arrange their colorful goods, dancers prepare feathered costumes, and priests don intricate jade masks. You join the throng moving toward the great plaza, where the towering pyramid dedicated to Umilkaxub, the maize god, dominates the skyline.
The rhythmic beating of drums and the piercing call of shell trumpets fill the space, signaling the start of the ceremony.
Nobles in elaborate headdresses and richly embroidered garments take their places near the altar, while common folk like you find spots among the crowd, hearts pounding with reverence and anticipation. As the king steps forward, his jade necklace shimmering in the morning sun, offerings are laid before the gods, baskets brimming with golden maize, pots of cacao, and even the blood of noble sacrifices drawn in sacred rites to ensure the continuation of the cycles of growth and renewal.
The crowd responds with chants and prayers, voices weaving together in a tapestry of devotion.
But beneath the surface of celebration, you sense a shift.
Traders whisper of drought in distant provinces, and rumors swirl about rival city-states growing restless. The priest's eyes, usually serene, flicker with concern as they study the darkening clouds and the patterns of Venus, harbingers in their eyes of coming change.
Throughout the day, the festival blends joy with solemnity.
Dancers enact the sacred ballgame, reenacting the victory of the hero twins over the lords of the underworld, their movements both athletic and symbolic. The crowd watches in awe, understanding that the game is not just entertainment, but a reenactment of cosmic order. As evening falls, torches light the pathways, and storytelling begins. Elders recount myths and histories by the communal fires, their voices carrying wisdom and warning. You listen closely, feeling the weight of your place in this ancient, unfolding story. Though the festival renews faith and hope, the undercurrents remind you that the balance is fragile, and the fate of your people hangs in the balance between prosperity and hardship. Night settles softly over the village, the jungle's chorus swelling beneath a tapestry of stars that shimmer like distant fires. Around the communal fire, faces are illuminated by flickering flames, shadows dancing on weathered skin as the elder begins to speak.
His voice is low and steady, weaving a story that has traveled through generations, one that carries the heartbeat of your people.
He tells of the hero twins, Hanup and Orkslank, born of maize and destined to challenge the dark lords of Xibalba, the underworld. Their journey is perilous, filled with cunning trials and battles not just of strength but of spirit.
The twins play the sacred ball game against the lords, their skill and wit overcoming death itself. With every word, you feel the weight of their courage and the power of renewal, the promise that life will return, even from the depths of shadow. The tale speaks not only of gods and heroes but of your own connection to the earth. You are reminded that maize is more than food. It is flesh and blood, the source of life and identity. The cycles of planting and harvest mirror the cycles of death and rebirth found in the story.
As the elder's voice fades into the crackling fire, you sense a profound kinship between past and present, man and nature, mortal and divine.
Around you, children listen wide-eyed, absorbing lessons wrapped in myth, lessons about respect for the land, the importance of community, and the ever-turning wheel of time.
The stories are a living thread, binding you to ancestors whose voices echo in every rustle of leaves, every gust of wind. As the fire burns low, you feel the cool night air settling on your skin, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and wildflowers. The jungle hums with unseen life, a reminder that the world is vast and mysterious, shaped by forces seen and unseen.
You rise slowly, carrying the story within you as you return to your hut, ready to greet the dawn once more. The myths are not just tales told by firelight, they are the foundation of your world, the compass by which you live. Years pass like the steady turning of the sun and moon.
The fields you tend continue to rise and fall with the rains, seasons marked by the planting and harvesting of maize.
You teach your children to read the sky, how the appearance of the Pleiades signals the time to prepare the soil, how the first rains soften the earth for planting.
Your voice carries the wisdom of generations, as steady as the heartbeat of the jungle around you.
Yet, change stirs beyond the horizon.
Stories reach your village of cities abandoned in the south, temples swallowed by forest and silence. Some say droughts have struck the land. Others whisper of conflict between city-states vying for power.
You sense a world shifting beneath your feet, fragile as the delicate maize silk that waves in the breeze.
Despite this uncertainty, your daily rituals endure. The milpa remains sacred ground. The cyber tree still stands as a silent guardian. Your people's stories live on, passed from elder to child, binding the past to the future. In their hearts, the maize god still walks, and the hero twins still play their cosmic game. Centuries from now, strangers will come from across the ocean, bringing iron, horses, and disease that will shake your world to its core.
But they will never erase the spirit you have nurtured, the language, the art, the ceremonies, and the deep respect for the land that your people carry within them.
Today, the ruins of once great cities lie quiet beneath the jungle canopy, their stone carvings weathered but not forgotten.
Modern descendants walk those same paths, cultivating maize and telling ancient stories under the stars.
The legacy of the Maya farmer, your life, your work, your stories endures as a testament to resilience and harmony with nature. In the rustling leaves of the ceiba, in the taste of fresh corn, in the rhythms of the rain, you can still hear the pulse of a civilization that thrived against time itself.